Hey, how's it going YouTube? This is your boy Chosen and welcome to this week's episode review. Now with today's episode, it may not have been as informative, but nonetheless, it at least allowed anime onlys to further understand Kawaki's character. Cause based off of his presence in 189, you'd think he's probably just some ruthless killer. But this episode showed us that this may not be the case. They also managed to tie in Sumire's development from the very first arc of the show by potentially showing a relation between her and Kawaki. We'll talk about it more as we break down the episode, so let's not waste any time and begin with the review. Boruto episode 191 begins by refreshing us with what happened at the end of episode 190. Kawaki escapes, Sumire on his tail, and Boruto in hot pursuit of him. The episode really begins with the police force being sent on a chase as well for Kawaki, meaning 3 different groups of people, and soon to be 4 are on the lookout for him. Team Boruto figures the most logical path he could have taken is the Thundered Rail. And before the intro rolls, we see Kawaki approach a town in search of food. After the intro, we see Kawaki observing a food stand gathered by a bunch of people. He intends to steal food, but we also see that the police force have also arrived, meaning it clearly took Kawaki a little while to get here, even though he had a head start, but obviously due to him being at a weakened state. As Kawaki moves on, we are reminded of his anxiety revolved around Jigen, but don't know why yet exactly. Being desperate for anything at this point, he looks through some trash, just to find nothing but an empty bottle. Next scene over shows a delivery man heading out, but accidentally drops a piece of loaf. What a coincidence. As Kawaki picks it up, he is greeted by a mysterious stray dog who seems willing to fight for it. And I literally mean it, because he jumps over to attack Kawaki, but obviously Kawaki swiftly dodges and strikes the old pouch, knocking him down. At this point, I'm just a little uncomfortable. He grabs the dog by the neck, and no cap, I thought he was gonna choke it out or something. I was like, yo. But after seeing the wound on the dog's leg, he realized that this dog was no different from him. So instead, his whole mood changes. He covers up the wound with his sleeve and gives the loaf to the dog, who then wanders off. Meanwhile, Sumire finds a fresh bloodstain on the trash bin, meaning Kawaki isn't too far off from her. Back to Kawaki, he's still on the run looking for food, but gets agitated when realizing that the dog is now following him. Probably because he sees Kawaki as a brother just trying to make it. But of course, based off of last episode, I've already mentioned this last week, but we should already know by now, it is extremely hard for Kawaki to trust anyone due to his past trauma. Which, based off of the preview for next week's episode, it seems like that's what's going to get explored, how his life became to be. Eventually, the dog does give up on following him, but not Kawaki entirely. With Team 7, obviously, they find out they've been wasting their time looking for him at the train stop and decide to just head over back to where everyone else is, which will eventually prove to be the right move. We are then taken to Naruto and Sai, where Sai expresses his concern with bringing Kawaki into the village, even despite being a kid. And I don't know if it was just me, but I feel like the way characters like Sai and Konohamaru talk about Kawaki is extremely parallel to Kid Naruto. Sai describes Kawaki as handling kindling that can burst into flames at any moment. If that doesn't make you think of Kid Naruto, then I don't know what will. Which every time I notice these phrases speak words, Naruto gives off this kind of concerning reaction. Can't be a coincidence. Back to the food stand, the man leaves his post for a couple seconds too long just for the dog to come in and steal some sausages. And out of nowhere, we learn that Tubby over here isn't playing any games. He takes out some pointy objects and throws it at the dog in hopes to kill it. Sumire sees this and tries to stop him, but just shoves her out of the way. Back to Kawaki, it seems his hunger is really starting to take a toll on him, who is then again greeted with the dog who offers him food in repayment for feeding him before. Just then, the man from the stand finally gets a strike in and cuts a wound on the dog's stomach, leaving it knocked down. But even then, it refuses to let go. Such loyalty for a boy who threw a can at you. But then Kawaki comes in as if he's a WWE superstar. Like, I'm talking, he took one step and his badass rock theme started to play. But it is cool to see Kawaki ride out for the dog. They both got mutual respect for each other, which is pretty cool to see. And a much different approach to his character compared to past episodes. Kawaki transforms his arm and scares off the man and tries to intimidate Sumire, which she doesn't even budge. If Kawaki really saw what kind of monster Nue once turned into, threatening her the way he is now was completely pointless. She ignores his threat and uses the healing foam we saw in episode 183 to quickly heal up the dog, who jumps back up from joy just for Kawaki to threaten it again, sending it off pouting. Man, I won't even lie, I kind of feel bad for the dog here. But this may be the last time we see it, so who really cares? Sumire, clearly not approving of Kawaki's reaction there, sets off Kawaki to tell her that nothing will come out of him trusting people, which is a mirrored look at his own perspective. Again, the dog is somewhat of a resemblance to him, so essentially for the dog's own good, he sent it off. Even when throwing the can Madara raising his hand with the rock, he never wanted to hurt it. He just thought it was for his own good. And sumire literally speaks my words as she calls him out for the exact point I was trying to bring. Without saying no homo, Kawaki eats a glizzy straight up, finishing it pretty quickly. I don't know what they served him back with Kara, but it must have been dog shit. Jigen is probably the only person who ate good there. Sumire tells Kawaki that Lord Hokage is heading to talk to him himself. She tells him that Naruto just wants to help, but again, like I said, always assuming the worst. He refuses to believe Naruto genuinely cares, but at the same time, can you blame him? And now is when they finally tie in the connection sumire realized she had with Kawaki by telling him in some way she went down a very similar path to him, but was saved by Boruto and her friends because she accepted it, which is a callback to the first arc in the series. But of course, Kawaki tells her that she doesn't know what she's talking about and to stop thinking that she does. With Kawaki still struggling to kind of move, sumire pulls out a supplement which is also a nutrient supplement to help him out. However, the moment she pulls out the needle, Kawaki gives off an extremely bad reaction to it, instantly seeing her as a threat, clearly showing signs of PTSD. Just then, the squad pulls through, Team Boruto and the police force surround him, which now makes him think that sumire was just buying time. Like, man, you gotta feel nothing but pity for Kawaki. Again, I know it's not his fault, but his mind is so intoxicated with negative thoughts to the point to where it doesn't even seem like he wants help at all. And to my surprise, it seems like the scientific ninja tools have been normalized in the Leaf Village already, because literally every member of the police force present possesses one. Little Nue tries to bite Kawaki's shoulder, who just throws him back, and out of nowhere, the commander just gives the go-to attack, despite an innocent kid being present. They fire at Kawaki, who appears to take no damage and just boots on out of the scene, with Sarada, Mitsuki, and the police force in hot pursuit. Yo, I just gotta say, they are lucky as hell Kawaki used up all his energy against Gato, because if we're talking a healthy Kawaki, not even a fight. As with sumire, it seems that she was caught in the blast, knocking her out. With Kawaki, the police force managed to corner him just for him to retaliate by transforming his hand once again and attacking the men. At this point now, the battle takes place in the streets, where Kawaki is surrounded again by like 7 dudes. Back to Hokage Naruto, the moment he steps in town, there's already a crowd for what seems to be running away from something, which we know what that something is. Boruto, carrying a knocked out sumire, tells Naruto of the dilemma they are facing. Sumire wakes up and tells Naruto that before he heads over to Kawaki to please understand that he isn't doing it out of some ego power trip, but because he's on the defense thinking he's the one in danger of everyone else. She tells him that Kawaki is just like her, so when approaching him, try to be a little more understanding. Back to Kawaki, the police force fire another fire style attack, except this time Kawaki uses the karma again to absorb it, which allows him to fire off a much weaker but similar attack he did against Gato when he, you know, blew him in half. It seems that the only way for Kawaki to fire off that red beam is only once he absorbs chakra based attacks. I don't think he can fire it off from the jump, which is interesting. As he fires the attack, he notices that it won't only hit the men, but a young small child as well, which forces him to change the aim of the attack upwards, but now aiming for the top of the building, which isn't good either. But then, because I didn't expect this, Naruto in 6th path form comes through and easily blocks out Kawaki's attack, leaving him and us in shock. Don't get me wrong, I knew Naruto was going to appear, but in 6th path mode, Kawaki sees this and calls Naruto the big boss. Naruto asks Kawaki if his intentions were to hurt innocent people, which Naruto then tells him not to throw his life away, as there's probably someone out there who really cares for him, which no, there isn't. And hey, call it overreaching, but when Kawaki went to punch Naruto when he caught his fist, am I the only one who saw the parallel to when Boruto tried to punch Sasuke but Sasuke caught his fist? I'll bring this up later on in the episodes, but this scene has so much more meaning that anime onlys currently don't understand, but in time will. To end off the episode, Naruto promises to look after Kawaki himself and take good care of him, and to set up next week's episode, which is a flashback, Sumire mentions to Boruto that she could feel his sadness within, based off of how high alert and defensive he was, which is why she's been so patient with him. Next week, the anime is going to explore Kawaki's true backstory, and I have a hunch, just a small hunch, that it's going to end where chapter 26 started. For my manga readers, y'all probably know what I'm talking about. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, to be honest, this was an enjoyable episode. The anime is giving us these kind of episodes in order to help the audience understand his character more, now and even back then. So last week's, this week's, and next week's are completely necessary episodes to the story. But I want to know how you guys felt about Boruto episode 191 in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching all the way until the end, and I'll catch you on the next one.